Is our awakening process changing along with the planet? Or are there ancient principles and stages that we can track and map? Well, no two soul paths are the same, and the awakening journey definitely never ever ends. From my own lived personal experience and also through witnessing thousands of others through my work, I've come to see that the awakening process tends to begin with a succession of upward openings that I call the ascent. And in this ascent part of the awakening process, there are three different stages, and they are the awakening of the mind, the awakening of the heart, and the awakening of the body. The planet is awakening. It really is coming online, and humanity is changing, transforming, evolving, waking up, and my gosh, it needs to. We are all part of this evolution. But awakening and healing are not easy, straightforward, and they're certainly not always pretty. There's an up and a down, an ascent and a descent. Expansion is followed by contraction, and contraction is followed by expansion. And if we surrender, then there's an eventual rebirth. It's nature's way. Transformation is the most natural thing in the world. But it's not possible without something ending first, and that requires surrendering to the unknown. The ascent involves an expansion or awakening of the mind, the heart, and the body, which together create an opening that invites the soul to incarnate, to enter matter a little bit more deeper than before. And through the expansions of the ascent part of the awakening process, we may experience universal revelations, incredible spiritual visions, heightened psychic abilities. We may see sacred geometry, feel deep connection and unity consciousness, interconnectedness, unconditional love, and even experience bouts of ecstasy and bliss. And through their corresponding contractions, we may then experience more seemingly negative states as we process what's being cleared from our physical, emotional, and spiritual bodies. The awakening of the mind. For many, the first stage of the awakening process is an upward expansion of consciousness. This phase is associated with the intellect and the conscious mind. All of a sudden, we see the world through brand new eyes. We find ourselves unplugging from what we were told was true and choose to plug instead into a different, more interconnected consciousness. We see our place in the cosmos and question the meaning of life. But all of this is really from a mind, a conscious, a more of a linear understanding rather than a deep embodied inner knowing. We shift from living in an unconscious trance into something much more conscious and expansive. It feels like a whole new world has opened up, and in some ways it has, but really we are just waking up and opening our eyes to see things more deeply as they are. This stage can trigger what I call the dark night of the mind or the ego. The world isn't what we thought it was, and so we need to find a way to create a new, more stable understanding and ground to build our lives upon. The awakening of the mind may seem like a destination at which we are arriving at or have arrived at or one day will soon arrive at. Once we understand this new consciousness through the gathering of information. But as you cling on to that, eventually the winds of change come a-blowing and we realize that the awakening process is a journey, not a destination. And that journey never ever ends. It just keeps unwinding. It's like the spiral journey that so many mystics speak about. It's like we've only just begun our spiritual journey, and the more we think we know, the less we actually do. The awakening of the heart. The deeper you travel along your awakening journey, the more easily you'll likely be able to drop into your heart. Your heart is the home of your soul. It is the bridge between heaven and earth. It's the first organ to develop when we are in our biological mother's womb. And when it stops beating, our human form is no longer. When your heart awakens, you discover who you truly are, beyond who the world has said that you are or said that you should be. You're able to more deeply connect with that ancient part of you that existed before you took your first breath. You're not who you thought you were, and you're no longer that person, and you open the door to discovering your authentic self, or who you really are at soul level. And the ego mind tends to then loosen its grip a little, and you are invited to drop deeper into the mystical, intuitive heart. Heart awakening can result in an increase in intuitive abilities. It almost always does. And it can be spontaneous or a little bit more gradual. It's often triggered by an event of some sort, whether it's heartache, heartbreak, loss, grief of some kind. And if we find a way to keep our hearts open through the loss, through the grief, through the cracking open, then we often wake up or are given the opportunity to awaken even more deeply than before. And this, of course, can take some time. It can take mourning as well, as we loosen our grip on the life that we've consciously created in order to create one that feels more true, more congruent, more aligned with who we truly are. When our heart is awakened, we are connected with our soul and are more able to connect with the souls of others as well and see the souls of others. A depth of compassion, empathy, and understanding tends to be more possible when we're living with an awakened, softened heart. The most compassionate people I know are the ones who have been hurt the most and have chosen to let it soften them rather than harden them and survive to live the tale. When your heart is broken and your worst fears have been realized and it just feels like everything's crumbled, like you're at that rock bottom moment, we tend to be able to, if we're courageous enough, develop a sort of fearlessness where if we let it, really can evoke that courage and compassion. When you're there at the rock bottom, in the rubble, you get to know who you truly are from a soul perspective, beyond who others say you are. I often say that sometimes it takes the universe to turn off all the lights for us to truly find and trust our own. And sometimes it is in the darkness that we're able to see that light, our inner light, and the light of spirit and source a lot more clearly than before. We don't have the distractions of normal everyday life. Living authentically as well, and in congruence becomes more and more important to us as our ability to recognize what's vibrationally harmonious, what's in alignment, what's out of alignment. And that which is out of alignment and not congruent with who we truly are becomes a lot more obvious. It's like it becomes more magnified. And once the heart is opened, stretched, softened, and awakened, things really are different from before. We can't shake that knowing that things are different now. We're different now. And the more open the heart is, the easier it is to feel and see the hearts of others and the souls of others as well. There may be a period, again, of purification and cleansing as we connect with the unconditional, powerful force of love, and anything that is not aligned with that and aligned with who we truly are and our highest path and purpose might begin to fall away as we loosen our grip on the way things were before. Some even experience a sort of bliss and peace and this beautiful honey nectar as they enter
this beautiful state of the awakened mystical heart.
Awakening of the body. Increasingly, many of us are experiencing a physical awakening of the spiritual energy dormant within the body, which is known as Kundalini Shakti. Many side effects can occur with this energy, from physical shaking to bouts of ecstatic bliss, and from physical and emotional purging and purification to more positive side effects like seeing incredible visions, remembering our past lives, or even ancestral memories. This stage of the spiritual awakening journey is a kind of activation of what's been asleep on the physical, and we're called into a very direct experience of the sacred, of the divine, of spirit, of life force moving through the physical body. We may find that in our own unique way, we're able to reconnect with our sensual, ecstatic nature and have a fuller experience of life through our body's senses as Shakti moves through the body. For many people, this stage can be very healing, especially if they've been raised to see the body as anything but sacred. And for some, it can be subtle, others way more intense. Through the awakening of the heart, the mind, and the body, my first Kundalini awakening happened in around 2011, 2012. And while it felt quite confusing because I didn't really know what was happening, I didn't know it at the time. And then I ended up discovering more and more about what was actually happening physically to my body. It was on the whole a very positive experience. And I've recorded a video on that, detailing in more depth my first Kundalini awakening. And I've had a couple of different Kundalini awakenings since then as well. The first one was on the whole very positive, and it felt like a very much an upward movement of energy, and it was very ecstatic and blissful. I began to see like codes in nature, in life, sacred geometry, that kind of thing, remembering past lives, having clear visions of them, visions of places beyond just here in the cosmos, and much more. And yeah, I've recorded a video on the depth of that experience as well. And I've had two other periods on my spiritual journey where the Kundalini energy was awakened within my physical body. And again, I speak about that in some other videos. It's a whole nother topic. But if you want to explore more about it, because I know that when we experience it, no two journeys are the same, but it is really helpful to find other people who have been through their own version of it. Throughout the awakening of the mind, the heart, and the body, this is the ascent part of the awakening process, we can experience great visions, intuitive downloads, spiritual experiences that really keep us captivated and inspire us to commit to the forever expansion, the constant dance between transcendence and immanence, expansion and contraction. And during these exciting stages of the spiritual journey, it really is a more adventurous part of our awakening journey. Then for some, years or even decades later, after the ascent, can come the descent, which is the next stage of the awakening journey that I've been tracking, as the soul is invited to come deeper, to incarnate even deeper than before. And for many, these are referred to as the dark nights of the soul. Here we are invited into the depths, descending into the soil of our cells, humanity, body, and the earth. And those who cross the threshold enter into an entirely new awakening phase, an entirely new initiatory phase. And I've created a video on that called The Descent, Dark Night of the Soul. So you might want to watch that one. But while you're here, I want you to let me know. I've just described the first stage of awakening, the ascent, the awakening of the mind, the heart, and the body. And I want to know in the comments, have you experienced an awakening of the mind, heart, or body? Do you resonate with the expansion and the contraction, the incredible visions? Like, what have you experienced in your awakening journey so far? Let me know in the comments.